Snarky Snail's story. Snarky Snail grumbled as he closed up his pebble shop for the night. The grumble seemed to echo loudly. Snarky sighed. He was always grumbling. His friends thought of him as a grump of their group. And he didn't blame them. The truth was, Snarky wanted to be happy. But he didn't know how. When Snarky was a baby snail, he'd been happy all the time. But then Grandpa Snail had died, leaving Snarky all alone in the garden.
That was way before Snarky had met his friends Wiggly Worm, Munchy Mosquito, and Rattles Snake. They had never met Grandpa Snail. In fact, they didn't even know he had existed. They had no idea why Snarky was such a sad snail. A part of Snarky wanted very badly to tell his friends how he felt about Grandpa Snail. If they knew why Snarky was so grouchy all the time, they'd be sure to cheer him up. But Snarky was afraid that if he talked about Grandpa at all, he would start to cry. And he was much too embarrassed to cry in front of his friends. Snarky sighed again. He had just about reached his damp, muddy home, when he ran into Wiggly Worm. Wiggly was wiggling his body from side to side as he slid through the garden on his belly. "Look at me," Wiggly cried jubilantly. "I'm a one-worm line dance." Snarky felt his temperature flare. "Keep it down, would you, Wiggly?" he hissed back. "It's night time, and some garden creatures might want to get some sleep." Wiggly stopped short, looking as hurt as if someone had slapped him. Snarky immediately felt sorry for lashing out like that. But it was too late. He'd already hurt Wiggly's feelings. "I'll go home now, Snarky," Wiggly mumbled. "Wiggly, wait," Snarky cried. But Wiggly didn't wait. And Snarky didn't blame him. Snarky started to sob. "I've got to stop being such a grouch," he said to himself. "If I keep this up, I'll lose all my friends." And it was then that Snarky realized he had to explain. The next day, he found Wiggly, Munchy, and Rattles in the flower bed. They all grew silent when they saw Snarky approach. Snarky figured they must have been talking about his rudeness to Wiggly. "Look, you guys," Snarky began, "I owe you all an apology. Especially you, Wiggly. I am sorry I snapped at you last night." Snarky's whole body trembled as he spoke. This was hard for him to say. "There's a reason I am a grump," Snarky went on, drawing a deep breath. "I am not saying it's an excuse. But there is something that makes me very sad. You see, I miss someone very much." And with that, Snarky told his friends all about Grandpa. Losing Grandpa had changed Snarky's life, and he cried as he explained this to his friends. But they didn't make fun of him. They hugged him tight and listened until he finished talking. "Oh, Snarky," cried Munchy. "I am so sorry. I had no idea," chimed Wiggly. "Me neither," Rattles added. Snarky started to smile. "You guys are the best," he cried. "And you know what else? It felt good to talk about Grandpa." "Tell us more about him," Snarky's friends urged. So Snarky spent the rest of the morning sharing story after story about his favorite snail in the world. And, for once, it almost seemed as if Grandpa Snail were alive. Talking about Grandpa made Snarky a much happier snail. And from that day on, he hardly ever lived up to his name again.
The end. Friend, I hope you enjoyed the story.
What part of the story did you like the most? Write to us down below.